I was born actually here in Colorado Springs, or at Penrose Hospital, and but was raised in Pueblo since I was a baby.
And did you always want to be involved with rodeo?
Oh, without a doubt, my dad did it, and we kind of growed up, and it was a start over. Sh-
Your phone isn't turned down. Okay.
Shut. Sorry.
All right, we'll start again then. Did you always know you wanted to be involved with rodeo?
Well, without a doubt, I guess it was what my family did. My dad was a brand inspector, and so he was always around cattle, and he actually rode barebacks and stuff all through school, and then in college he roped calves, rode barebacks. He did all the riding events and roped calves, and so it was just kind of a way of life that I grew up in, and it was a special way for me.
What was your first competition?
Man, I can't tell you what my first competition was, but I'm pretty sure it was a breakaway roping when I was 3 years old, and that at a little function right there around Pueblo. But I can tell you a lot of places was my first, but not my first competition.
Did you compete in the junior level of rodeo, or did you go straight into like the amateur and stuff?
I didn't go to very many amateur rodeos in them days. Maybe in a lifetime today, I probably haven't been to 25 amateur rodeos in my life. It was a dream being around what I seen to be a professional. And at that time when I wanted to be a professional, if you had a permit or a PRCA card, you couldn't compete in amateur rodeos. And, it was just my dream to, I never thought of the NFR. I never thought of anything. It was just to be a pro cowboy.
What was it about rodeo that made you want to pursue it as a career?
I don't know that anything drove me to make it a career. It was something that I took on, a challenge that I took on to be as good as I could be, and it wound up being a career. And the hard work and stuff you put into getting to where you can win something, then it becomes your career. But I don't know that I set out for it to be my career, but it was a passion to know that that's where my life was headed.
Did you have an idol or a mentor, anyone you looked up to?
Well, other than my father, who was roped and rode barebacks and had won quite a bit and stuff at that point, there was a man from just west of me named George Draper that my dad roped with a lot. And I always thought that, he's just this incredible man, roper, because that's who my dad roped with, and he healed for him. And so I thought, and he actually mentored me a little bit as far as the winning part of it, so I guess if I had to say that other than my father for a mentor would be George.
When did you join the PRCA?
So it was 49 years ago that the 1st of July was kind of a odd deal. I filled my permit, and man, it was just that dream to be a professional cowboy. And Greeley Rodeo was coming up over the 4th of July, and it was the big rodeo then in them days in the team roping. And it was entered twice, and man, I hounded my dad, and I hounded my mom, and I hounded them to get me a RCA card. I wanted to be a pro cowboy. And, I'd filled my permit, and of course at that time, they really couldn't afford it, even though it wasn't a lot of money, they really couldn't afford it. And come to find out on the way to Greeley to the rodeo, we stopped and picked up my professional card. It was in Denver, the office. And so from that day forward, Greeley was my first professional rodeo ever. Well, with a PRCA, with a RCA card.
Did you ever compete in anything other than roping? Did you try barebacks or anything like that?
You know, I went to a few high school rodeos. I went to a couple of junior rodeos, and I did all events. I did every event that you could enter, and was terrible in the bareback riding. Lid on my head, unbelievable. I tried it twice, and I'm like, this is not for me. And the only thing that I was fairly successful in is I rode quite a few bulls when I was young, and I liked it. I was fairly, I don't know if I was good at it or not. I thought I was. I won a little bit, but I could tell that it wasn't for me because practicing and doing that sort of thing, and I really was, it was not something that my parents supported. They said, well, you know, you spent all this time working at your roping, you probably should stick with your roping, and it was a fine decision they made or helped me make, or they made for me, or however it may be. You know, I was probably too young to really, I never got intimidated the first year. I really didn't. I was just out there with these guys that everybody, whether what event, it didn't matter. I was just out there looking up to them and just, yeah, this is a good time. This is who I want to be. I need to work harder, you know. My second year of rodeoing was my worst year of rodeoing in my whole career, because I did get intimidated in my second year, and I struggled all year. You know, I pulled it off right at the end to make the finals, but it was a tough year for me, and it was a growing year. Today it was probably one of the better years for me to learn something, because you know, the first year we did really good, and it was a very successful time, and then second year you go the opposite direction, and you really have to pick up deep, and it was tough, but great experience.
Who did you travel with a lot?
Well, we had a lot of different traveling partners. You know, my dad in that days, he was still a brand inspector and couldn't get a lot of time off work, and so a lot of the major rodeos in the summer, we only went to 3 rodeos in the winter. I was in school, and then we never really started rodeoing until the summer. And you know, we traveled with a lot of different people. You know, we had made a lot of great friends doing that. But a lot of the times we didn't travel with many people, because we would go, like, say, to Yuma, Colorado, from my house 4 hours, and then drive back, and then go to Akron, Colorado the next night, which is only 30 miles from Yuma. But we would drive home so he could work all morning, and then we would turn around and drive back. I mean, that was just part of the gig. Is if we, he had to keep working. We couldn't really make it in them days with what, you know, we was winning rodeoing, trying to support 2 of us, and the family and the horses, and he had to keep working.
Let's see here. What was it like to go to your first national finals rodeo?
Man, you know, it was like I said, I really didn't have a clue what to expect. I met all these people from all of the events, a lot of the rough stock riders, you know, that were become really good friends and stuff throughout the year. So, you know, I didn't know what to expect. Probably the most unique experience from my first NFR that I've never forgot. And for every year that I was in Oklahoma City during the finals, it was a cop that guarded the back gate and let the contestants in or out. And the team roping was starting, and he wouldn't let me in the arena. He thought I borrowed my dad's number. And they stopped the whole deal, and they're like, where's he at? I'm at the gate, I can't get in. And finally they told him, and he come and apologized, and we become really great friends. He was just doing his job, and he was very nice, and so that was probably a unique experience for me. And that might have been when it hit me, because like, these guys, you don't get to go in here unless. I really never thought about it before. I mean, every other rodeo I went to, I was in the calf pens with, as a kid, and I was just doing whatever. And but when I got there, it was a little different story, and so that guy made a mark with me.
What were the finals like when they were in Oklahoma City?
It was a little different than Las Vegas, but we had. All events stayed at a hotel. We had hotel rooms. There wasn't as much to do during the day, but we seemed like we did a lot of things. A lot of the contestants got together. We had basketball teams, tournaments during the day. We had a lot of different things that you could definitely keep yourself busy. Not like Las Vegas, maybe, but it was a great experience. It was a harder experience for me to change from that normality to the Vegas and all the lights and all that, and going in here and going there, and traffic here and traffic there, and they always had a back way in for you at Oklahoma City, and so it was a little different transformation, but when you earn that level, you learn to go with the flow, whatever they were trying to provide, and it was all about the money, and I know how much money I won the first year I made the finals, and how much money the last time I went. So it's a huge difference, a lot of zeros there, and so it's been a great experience for everybody that went to both places to see both sides of it.
Did you have to change styles then, because I know Oklahoma City was a much bigger arena than Thomas and Mack?
I don't know that you change styles as much as you adapt to the situation. That's what your job is it's if it's a small arena, you set up for a small situation. If it's a large arena, you set yourself up, and that's honestly more, I would say, a header's position than a heeler's position. We're still supposed to get the same position heeling as we in a little arena as we did a big arena, and so I would say it was more stressful on a header. I know that when I never did head in Oklahoma City, but I headed twice in Las Vegas, and my first time I headed in Las Vegas for my cousin, I didn't do a very good job. I never, quote, roped in that situation, and I thought that I had to do things different. And basically, you just have to ride the barrier better, be smarter, and still do what you worked hard to do. And so I didn't do a very good job the first year, and I hate it for my cousin, but it was still a good time. And then when I come back the second time, I kind of got it figured out a little bit.
So how did you see the whole NFR change over all of your qualifications, or did it change other than the money?
Well, I mean, it became a more popular event, the rodeo itself. Whether, it doesn't matter what event you're involved in, it all became, and the sponsors got bigger, and, there was a lot more things to go to, a lot more events to go to. When I first started rodeoing, if we went to 30 rodeos, we thought we really went a lot. And today, they're going from coast to coast at 85 rodeos. And so, yeah, it changed a lot. But the one thing that hasn't changed is you still have to catch to win. And you still have to ride them to score. And that will never change in rodeo world. And so I think there's been a lot of things change, but that has never changed.
And a similar question, you went to multiple steer roping finals. How did those change over?
Well, in the same conditions, it started out in big arena, great big steers, and the times were a little longer, but the runs were just as good, just on bigger cattle, longer arena. And as it, went into the last time I went, it was in Hobbs, New Mexico, and that was a little arena. And, you do everything the normal way you've learned to do it from the start. and except you just speed it up in a shorter atmosphere, and same concept. I'll say there. I was happened to win it the year it was in Hobbs, but I got 10 steers and tied them down, and that was always a cardinal rule that it's easier to get paid if you catch.
Who are your favorite partners in the team roping?
Well, that's I guess I roped 13 times with my dad, my favorite partner, and will always be my favorite partner. And then fortunately I got to rope with my cousin, and we made the finals once. And so, 14 of my 21 NFRs were with family members. That's huge. To me, that's huge. That's, and I roped with a lot of different guys other than that. And I was friends with all of them. And I still like them all, and I'm still friends with them all. But, if I had to say my favorite partners was with my dad and then my cousin.
Is it difficult to have that kind of business in the arena relationship and then have a family relationship too? Was there any hot-headedness or stubbornness or anything that got in the way of anything?
No, not really. My dad didn't allow that. When we went in the arena, it was for business and for work. And we were trying to get better every time we went and practiced, and we could discuss it. And if one needed to do something different or what I needed to do, but we never argued and complained about it when we was in the arena. And we were basically partners in the arena. When we went outside the arena, he was my dad. But inside the arena, he didn't. We didn't treat it as a father and son. We treated it as a business.
What was it like to go to the NFR with your dad and your sister? I mean, that was one of those groundbreaking moments. Did it feel groundbreaking, or was it just kind of all be there?
It was something that my sister was an incredible athlete in school. I couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. And she was a cheerleader and a gymnast, and she could do all the stuff. And hell, I could barely get in the parking lot and get drove out to get back to the horses, But she was always totally dedicated too. And so when, that was probably my favorite year rodeoing. My mom had to go a lot with my sister, and me and Dad were together. And so it was something to be there with that case scenario for all of us. And I'd probably go down saying that was my favorite year.
Who are some of your biggest competitors?
In rodeo?
Yeah.
Today or them days?
Throughout your whole career, who are some of your biggest competitors?
Oh.
Guys that you would prefer not to see at your rodeo.
Prefer not to see? That's funny you'd say that, because after I got to where I felt like that I could do it consistently, I wanted to compete against the best all the time, to see where I stood all the time. And so I can probably say that if I had to pick a guy that was a friend, pick some guys that were friends, that were tough competitors and winners, healing, I would say it would be Clay O'Brien Cooper and Bobby Harris. That were the guys that I admired, and that, we were friends, we did it together, we traveled together a lot, and literally, we never feared each other, but we always respected each other's talents. And those guys were definitely good, and they proved they were good, and I enjoyed competing against them as much as anything, just that part of it. They were two guys that were definitely hard to beat.
What were some of your favorite rodeos to go to?
Well, when I rodeoed a lot, I guess I'll always admire all of the rodeos, but I look forward to, in them days, before Cheyenne had team roping. I look forward to going to Cheyenne tripping steers. I look forward to going to Pendleton, Oregon tripping steers. I totally look forward to going to Dodge City and doing all 3 events. Those are, three of the ones that I can say that rate right at the top for me. But I mean, I'll never forget what happened my first year with my RCA card at Greeley, Colorado. That'll be probably one that I will never forget. I mean, that was a pretty amazing day for me, getting that and then going and doing good at the rodeo. And that was, I mean, I got to be a professional and then did good at my first professional rodeo, not with a card, not with a permit. And so, I guess I would never rate a rodeo better than the other rodeo. I was just glad they had them and I got to go.
You had a lot of horses, so who was your favorite horse, or did you have a favorite?
Yeah, I had, I was lucky I rode a lot of different horses at the finals throughout my career. And probably my favorite heel horse was Pac-Man. I rode him there, quite a few years. My parents raised him, and he was, he helped me put food on the table a lot of times when I needed him. But I was lucky to have 2 or 3 pretty good horses to ride. But I would say Pac-Man would have been my best one.
And what was so good about him?
Man, he could run. He was strong. He was just always totally consistent. Like anybody could get on him and win. And he was just, what defines a great horse to me is a horse you can win on. That defines to me as a great horse. Not everybody could get on everybody's horses and win because they didn't feel the same. But if they could win on them, if I flew into rodeo and borrowed a horse and it didn't feel comfortable, but that guy could win on him, that's still a good horse whether I can win on him or not. So I always defined the horses myself as one you could win on as a good horse.
Did you train him yourself?
I did most of the work, but I got to give it to my dad. He's the one that broke him and got him started. But my dad never healed. He only headed. And so after he got him broke and we got going, he's like, man, you better have a heel horse. So I started heeling on him. And actually my sister run barrels on him too. And he was kind of the family horse. We didn't have many horses in. And so whatever horse wasn't saddled, you got to ride, basically. And so, no, he was a family horse.
Did you enjoy teaching rodeo schools and roping schools?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed teaching people to rope. I like spending time with people and getting to know them. As I've got older, I get a lot of options to do that. But since I started my horse training business, it's very hard for me to take off 4 or 5 days from that and not ride the horses, and go to a roping school. So I'll do quite a few now, just private clinics. They can come to my house, spend 2 or 3 days and rope and get to know each other. And that's what I like. As much as teaching them, it's easier to teach. If you get to know somebody, it's easier. Personalities, then they don't feel like you're trying to pick on them one way or the other. And they'll feel open to ask questions. To where, when there's a group of people around, some people don't ask the question that they want to get the answer to. And that's okay, but I like it better now for me as I'm getting older. I like it for them to come to the house and we go have lunch and we eat dinner together and we get to know each other as people. It sure makes it easier to teach.
What was it like to teach in
Brazil
Brazil?
is, Brazil was easy. Other than the language barrier, the people there were begging for knowledge, very easy to help, very talented group of people. And so when you went there to teach, they were a group that would ask a lot of questions because a lot of them had the same questions one person had asked, and the other one would ask the other question that the other one wanted to ask after he asked. But they're a great group of people. They're very genuine, very kind, and they're very easy to teach. And there's a lot of talent in Brazil, a lot of talent.
So tell me a little bit about your horse training then. So what kind of horses do you
I mainly just train roping horses anymore. I used to train horses for the super horse and all that, did that for a long time, but now I mainly just train roping horses, and I ride for the general public. You know, we keep between 40 and 50 horses at my house year round, and half of them being mine and my dad's and my son's. And, you know, my sister's got her deal over on her side. She keeps training horses and for barrel racing and her own horses over there. But basically just train them, and then people come and take lessons on them, and hopefully we get them trained right to where they can take them off and do good.
I read somewhere that you hosted a TV show. What was that like?
You know, that was very very interesting. It was called I'll think of the name of it in a minute. Anyway, I got to do things that I didn't think I would get to do in the horse industry. I went to Los Angeles and learned and got with the police and got licensed by the LAPD. I wanted to learn how to these police desensitize these horses for riot controls. And I went through their school, and then got to go down on the streets. And it was, it gives you a different feeling, not only for the horse, for the people that go and support us and do the things for us to be free. And that was really cool. I got to go again to LA and spend the day with Paul Jones at the racetrack, starting at 3:30 in the morning, knowing how much you gallop a horse and knowing each distance of how far it was to maximize the speed of each different horse. And so there was a lot that, you know, going to the races and watch the races on the outside, had no idea that, you know, that they're challenging their horses to a different deal. And so there was a lot of different things that I got to go do. You know, I got to go to Billy Clappers, one of the greatest bit makers in the world, and film him building a bit that everybody wants in the world out of one piece of iron. And, you know, everybody talked about, man, he must have a beautiful shop. He had dirt floors in his shop. His machine set crooked, and everything was perfect when he come out. It was square. So I got to do a lot of things that I didn't, it was called The Horseman's Edge. That was the name of the show. And I enjoyed doing it. I learned a lot about stuff I thought I knew a lot about. So it was very, you know, here I went to LA when I did that one with these guys all these policemen are non-horsey people. They learned everything they knew at this clinic. And yet they could get on one of them English saddles and they could ride through that traffic and them crowd controls. It was the most amazing thing and them horses put their head down and never made a bad move. It was pretty incredible.
What was a major obstacle that you faced during your career?
You know, I don't never really think I had a obstacle other than, you know, I would have liked to have had a little more size to rope calves in. I loved roping calves, and we roped bigger calves in. So a lot of times I needed a bull rope instead of a pig and string during the calf roping. But I don't think that there was an obstacle that I could say was a detriment to me. I think that everything that became an obstacle became a learning process for me. So I tried to build on it more than I did try to make it an obstacle. It's like, hey, I either got to work harder and get through this. You know, I never took it as a downer, as an obstacle. You know, a lot of people talk about the travel. You know, that's an obstacle. The travel to me is not an obstacle. If you choose rodeoing, you know you have to travel, and that's part of the game. You know, I don't accept that to say that it's an obstacle, because we chose our own sport. This is the sport we chose. And so I never really felt like I had an obstacle that didn't help me down the road.
How do you think rodeo shaped you as a person?
Well, as a person, it's a humbling sport, but it'll make you define who you want to be. And I think that the opportunities there, The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it.
How have you seen rodeo change from the time you started until now?
Well, what's changed in rodeo is how the sponsors have come in and did so much, and that's come with management, and it's come with all parts of it. The breeding of the bucking stock to the cattle, and everything's got more unique and more specialized. But I think that the sponsors have made rodeo come to a professional sport today, to where it is a very recognized, very, very recognized sport. And I'm proud for everybody that's young coming up and that can actually make a great living doing this, and they have a lot of support.
Where do you see rodeo going in the future?
I don't know where rodeo is going in the future. I think there's going to be lots of money involved. They talk about different things out there, and as far as, are there going to be higher tier rodeos, lower tier rodeos where people can build to them and all that? I guess that'll be to be determined. I like the idea that they have a rodeo and you enter up and the best man wins, but I understand as it gets bigger and more people get into it, and that you have to make some changes. And so, I guess being older, we didn't have to make a lot of changes in them days, so I'm learning how to watch and watch them make some changes. And changes are good. It's fine, and it's happened in all parts of the world and in all industries. And so what they have to do in rodeo to change and make it better for the contestants and make it better for the people, I guess I'm a total supportive.
What was your favorite part about your rodeo career?
My favorite part about my rodeo career was just being a cowboy. I guess. No better.
What do you think you learned the most?
Man, you learn how to deal with people, and you learn how to get along in life, and you learn how to make it, through rodeoing. I have a lot of families. I didn't have a lot of money, and so I met people. I met great family in Paul Rice and Cindy Rice in Oregon. And so when I went to the Northwest to go rodeo, they opened their house up like I was part of their family. And we kept our horses there. We practiced on their steers. We stayed at their house. We ate their food. And it was good. With saying we had people in Arizona. You met a lot of people that became family and friends. And that would probably be one of the gracious parts of the rodeo world.
If you could give a rookie team roper a piece of advice, what would it be?
The more you catch, the more you win. I guess I don't really have advice, but I will say one thing about to a rookie team roper. The better horse you ride, the better chance you'll have to win.
What were your feelings when you got the call to tell you that you were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, that was kind of a funny call, because I didn't accept it. I was dragging my arena, getting ready to practice about one morning, and my phone rings, and it's the PRCA. I'm thinking to myself, I've only been to one rodeo this year, and I won money, and I know I paid my fees. What do you think the PRCA is calling me for? I didn't do anything wrong. I was in the slack. So I didn't take the call. I'm like, oh, I'll wait till I get off the tractor. I'll let them leave a message, and I'll call back, right? Because I'm like, man, in my mind, I couldn't think what. And within 2 minutes after that call, a friend of mine calls, named Tom Hersick. On his phone, of course, caller ID come up, Tom Hersick. Hey, Tom, what's going on? JD, this is Tom Glaus. I would like to tell you that you just got inducted. I didn't take his call, but I took Tom Mersig's. So, but I was like, my friends called me. I'll bullshit with him or visit with him. Sorry, why I finished Dragon the Reader, right? But he was evidently with Tom when they called me, Mr. Glass. So, yeah, it was kind of. Yeah, it was bittersweet. I wasn't real sure I wanted to take the first phone call because I didn't know what I did wrong. And then when I took Tom's, I figured we was just visiting about something. And that's how I got the message. It was pretty cool. Because I literally did not take Tom Glass's call or the PRCA's call thinking, I have no idea what they're calling me for. I'll let them leave a message and I'll call them back when I get off the tractor.
So what does this induction mean to you?
Well, I guess it means different things to different people. The induction it's really gratifying to know that the hard work that you put in to being good, somebody recognized. And so that's probably worth a lot. Because there's a lot of times the blood, sweat, and tears out there practicing, and all them drives, and man, I didn't do no good this week, and I didn't do no good next week, or last week, and man, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills, and then it all comes through. So, everybody that's been in that position, that rodeoed in that position, understands that this is pretty incredible.